Hello, sports fans. Welcome into the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko, good to be with you. Bringing the guys along with me. Tariq, Spence, how you doing?
Doing great. Have a lot to say about Hard Knocks and the Jets. A lot to say.
All right.
And it ain't good.
It ain't good.
No.
That's what kind of what we're all hoping.
No.
And you told me, Pat, that's one of your favorite uniforms.
My new favorite uniforms. I just got it. Okay, first of all, gamer early 2000s original Frontier Field jersey. I had the hat to match already, so it works great. But here's the best part. You ready? You ready? Check out the back.
Can you do this?
Oh, it's a Bad Boy jersey! It's a Game Bad Boy! The double B's on the back. Where have you seen a Bad Boy jersey before?
I've never seen anyone wear a Bat Boy jersey.
Or be so proud of it.
And now I'm concerned.
It's a sharp-looking jersey.
Thank you very much.
All right. Talk college football. You a college football fan?
I am when the games are good, and that's part of the problem. The games aren't always good, especially that first week out. Let's be honest with you. We'll watch that first game to see who gets blown out 52-3. And, of course, we'll get ready for the marquee matchups. We'll get ready for rivalry weekend. We'll get rid of all these big tournaments. But that's the big issue right now where you're going on with college football. You have certain good teams in certain conferences, but the main conference is the SEC, the Big Ten. I mean, that's about it. Everybody's worried about that.
But the end game here is going to solve that. I mean, presumably, we're going to get more better games.
More better.
More better.
I'm not convinced of that. I'm convinced of number one, number two, rivalry weekends. I'm convinced of that stuff. It's inconsistent. That's the problem with college football. It's not consistent.
I compare what we've seen the last week, Pat, to a game of Risk.
Risk from people that are completely unaware of self, what they're doing. I am done with college football, and I'll tell you why. Because it was a month ago that the NCAA wanted a congressional inquiry into NIL deals for student athletes because they said that they were killing what college football stood for. And a month later, they ripped apart one of the most historic football conferences in the history of the game. Are you kidding me right now? I mean, look, you were alive and covering sports when everything went down with Texas A&M, going over to the Big 12, all that stuff.
I'm the Southwest Conference and the Big 8.
I mean, yeah, the Southwest Conference was one of the premier conferences in college football. It destroyed Rice, Houston, SMU destroyed themselves, but TCU only recently rebounded. These were power football schools, Bill. You're going to get that with what is left over of the Pac-12. How do you say that these kids don't deserve to earn the money that they're making in a free market and then turn around and destroy college football purely for profit?
You do know that is the biggest whale right there for all of college sports. Is they've got to find a way to create revenue and money for that. But did we not see this in college basketball? I mean, what was it that we loved about college basketball when it was the Big East? We love these big schools. And what happens is these teams start to lose a couple of players. They start to lose interest in the conference. And then the Big East is now what the Big East is now, which is that conference no one watches.
No, but you bring up another reason why I despise what college football has become, because I loved Big East basketball. Those battles were insane, and they weren't big schools. Schools like St. John's, Georgetown, right? The Philly schools, they existed for basketball. It's when football came in and money changed the game that the Big East dissolved. And now we don't get those rivalries. Now Georgetown falls off, St. John's falls off, and those historic schools with so much beautiful history and alumni that I wanted to share with the next generation, they're gone.
You're getting older. And
No.
but the reason I know this is because the young Pat Duffy was anti-traditionalist. If it was something that was meant to uphold tradition and the purity or the sanctity of, whatever, Southern Cal playing Notre Dame or whatever it is, you were against it. And now this is, you've done a 360.
All right, let me be clear. The only reason I am hearkening back to historic things is because that's what college sports said they wanted, right? If these kids were getting all the money they wanted with no complaint and they made this change, I'm fine with it, right? Let's make the change. We'll make it bigger. We'll make it better. That's fine. For you to be as hypocritical as you are and make the move, no, get out of my face because you never cared about tradition and the student athlete to begin with.
This makes the whole Reggie Bush discussion silly again. This makes all of these different things that have gone on in college football that they've been fighting against now you're going towards. You just want attention. And let's be honest, we don't really follow college football. We wait for the marquee game that's really interesting. Maybe Notre Dame, out of tradition, out of fun.
There will be more of them.
But will they hold your interest enough? Sports is spread across all boundaries right now. I can watch baseball, football, streaming it now. Pac-10 was having a whole bunch of trouble getting their own network. Like, this is ridiculous.
But here's the thing. You talk about there'll be more rivalry games. There's also going to be more garbage. Rutgers is going to have to play Penn State. They're looking at we brought up SMU.
Yeah, but Penn State won't have to play McNeese State anymore.
But they're still going to. They're still going to pay those schools to come. Like, the fact that you think these schools will not take 2 and 3 easy wins in the beginning of the year, you're insane. And SMU is being rumored to join the ACC. Are you excited for a hot SMU-Clemson matchup that counts for this season?
You know what? I said the most ironic thing I think I heard all week is a guest on the Dan Patrick Show, and they're looking for what's the solution for college sports, and he said we should go to geographical conferences.
Yes.
And then Patrick goes, you mean like we had 20 years ago?
Yes, no, but he's absolutely right. It forces these other programs to either up their games or eliminate that sport. It would eventually even itself out. The reason we see these power schools is because schools with money that got in early on contracts after the college, College Athletic Association, whatever it was, dissolved and negotiated all contracts, those schools benefited and it swallowed up schools that were competitive but didn't have money.
We're at the Rochester Press Box talking Buffalo Bills next. Just passing through. J-Mac, Soccer Sam Fantuzzo, Loretta Scott, Joe Beard, 29 in all, life lessons from notable Rochesterians. Available now.
I have some travel books, Volume 1, Volume 2. You'll be able to get one of these books for free when you buy the new Volume 2 for only $14.95. Contact me at MikeTheGetawayGuy@gmail.com.
Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Connors & Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys and proud sponsor of Buffalo Bills Training Camp.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Connors & Ferris.
Oh, the workers' comp attorneys.
Your workers' comp attorneys.
Well, is it the workers' comp attorneys or your workers'
If you
comp?
hire them, they're your workers' comp
Yes, it
attorneys.
depends if you need
Kinda
it.
makes
Hey, look,
sense.
so the Buffalo Bills, first preseason game, it seems to me like, and fans can always get behind this, who's going to be the backup quarterback? Do we have the guy?
Yeah, it's Kyle Allen. Look, I love Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley might be on this roster because he's friends with Josh Allen. In fact, Kyle Allen might be on this roster because he's friends with Josh Allen. Going even further, Tanner Gentry may have only been on the Bills roster because he was friends with Josh Allen last year. Josh Allen has employed so many people, he qualifies for small business loans in Western New York. But I think it's Kyle Allen.
You know,
What about the fact that you lost out on a guy like a Teddy Bridgewater? Good quarterback, sort of
my
similar.
first thought
like
when he signed.
I was like, ooh, man, he was still out there. The Bills could have definitely used him.
All right,
Because
so-
he matches.
Okay, yes, no, the style of play matches. You're absolutely right. Here's your problem, though. You need somebody behind Josh Allen who doesn't get hurt because Josh Allen stays in games even when he shouldn't. So Teddy Bridgewater has a history of injuries. I like the Kyle Allen signing. The Bills, I'll give Brandon Beane credit for one thing. He finds quality backup quarterbacks that they're not going to win you a game. They're not going to lose you a game. If you got to start 3, they might win you 2 out of 3 because you have so much talent around him. I don't hate this Kyle Allen decision. Again, talk to me after preseason's over.
Well, I'm looking like, I think it was Pro Football Focus ranked the Bills' backup quarterback situation 28th in the league.
Yeah, but look, Allen doesn't really get hurt that often. He might need a spell or two here or there for the most part. I don't think the Madden cover helps because of the jinx of that, so you might want to do that as many times as you like. That being said, they're just a good offensive team, and he stays pretty much on the field all the time, and they need him on the field all the time. I don't know about Allen somewhere along the line. Do you need him for 2 to 3 starts of the season? Do you think he's going to be able to come through?
I do. I mean, you look at the guys that they've had in the past, right? Mitchell Trubisky gets his second chance. Is Mitchell Trubisky that much better than Kyle Allen? Davis Webb, who's in New York right now, I don't think he's better than Kyle Allen. Heck, Nate Peterman was his backup quarterback for his first season, well, was actually the starter. I'm okay with this situation.
Right.
I'm cool with it.
So what are the odds that Allen stays on his feet for 17 games?
I mean, I think it's good just based on the history that he's had. I mean, he's the biggest human being you've ever seen with the skills that he has. Like, when you stand next to Josh Allen, he should not be as agile as he is. Hell, I mean, when you watch him, Tariq, play these games, the moves that he makes in the open field, the linebackers don't see this stuff coming from a guy his size.
Yeah, and that's all we hear. That's all we hear. I mean, do you really think at this point in his career, Josh Allen has got the wherewithal to pull back a little bit?
I hope so in certain plays where he doesn't need to get that extra yard. So that's what I hope for in a situation. I still like his gunslinger style. His arm is amazing, unbelievable. I think he should definitely use it more, but just isn't. I mean, defenses will adjust to him going forward. I just think he's the perfect complement of arm and body and leg. I just hope over 17 games, just regular season, that it's able to extend beyond that. That's why I always advocate, and I know he's going to be mad, for a running game. Just taking plays out of his hand so he isn't getting hit every single play. I don't want him with the ball every single time a Bill is on the ground with the football.
I fall back on the argument that a lot of these running quarterbacks, the guy that says, they run too much, it's dangerous, are getting hurt in the pocket.
But that's just it. That's the funniest part. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's the hits that you can't see that hurt you, not the hits that you see coming. And to your point a second ago about will he pull it back? No, I think it's impossible for Josh Allen to play quarterback and handicap himself in any kind of way. I don't think you get the Josh Allen you love without giving him free rein to just go.
Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Connors and Ferris, Like It or Not, is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Hey, hello again. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. Are you ready for one of the most amazing getaways here at Niagara Falls, USA? Come along for the ride. It's Cave of the Winds. Look for the Getaway Guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips, it's game changer. No appointment needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. Tariq, like it or not, we got a big-time baseball fight last week.
Like it.
Anderson and Ramirez.
I love it. Like it. I mean, listen, it was much ado about nothing, but then it turned into like a real brawl. And I sat there for a moment and I'm like, okay, all right, I really don't care who wins this bad boy. But then Tim Anderson went down, and then of course everybody gets involved. And I feel this is like a lot of hostility in Alabama, baseball games, boxing matches, UFC. There's just a lot of angry people out here. I don't know why.
So there are three things about that baseball fight video that are priceless. First of all, when the two guys square up, the umpire backs up like he's a boxing referee. Did you see this? Like he's in halfway, but he takes 3 steps back, which I don't blame him. I don't feel like getting hit. Second, what I love about sports that don't have traditional fighting, right? Like it's not basketball, the 80s, it's not the NHL. Both of these guys think they're really tough because they haven't been tested. And one of them finds out he doesn't have the chin that he has because he catches one right on the jaw. And look, man, I've been there, right? There's nothing you can do when those legs go jelly. But you can tell it's never happened to him before because he's still trying to look tough coming off the field despite the fact that his legs are still not working properly. Like, it gets to a point in front of all these people where you got to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit here for a second. I'm going to collect myself. I don't have to look tough right now.
Why do we always remember these fights? Like that fight is going to be around forever, like Robin Ventura and Nolan Ryan.
You can't run from that.
That's a headlock, head punch the whole time.
Well, how about Jose Batista a couple years ago? Like, I mean, all of these things stand out in our heads forever, but it's because one, it's rare that punches land in baseball fights, and two, I don't understand what began the fight in the first place, because that play looked pretty standard.
Yeah, but nobody cares.
Yeah, really, that's the point. You see, when we celebrate the fact that the fighting is largely out of hockey, and yet here we are and says, man, we can't wait for it to appear somewhere else.
Well, I think that hockey fighting is dangerous because you had guys at one point that were there just to fight. Literal heavyweight guys fighting with bare fists. And look, don't get me wrong, man. Having boxed for years, it is scary when you see somebody crumble like that taking a shot to the jaw. That being said, one landed punch every 3 years in Major League Baseball, I think it's okay.
Former Aquinas champion, right?
Aquinas alumni.
The interesting part about it is we love the baseball fights because they connect more and don't happen as much. Hockey is a part of the culture.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we went to go see hockey and a fight broke out. Baseball, you don't see them a lot, and it's really epic. They really connect more than basketball, football, any other sport.
Quickly, I know you're our resident soccer soccer guy. It's not a like it or not so much, but your impressions of the U.S. women's national team losing?
I didn't feel good after game one. I didn't feel any better after game two. They got reamed out after that, and then, of course, they lose to Sweden. I got up to watch that game. I love the women's soccer. I love the fact that they were basically being hunted. Now they get to destroy it, start all over again with younger players. It had to happen. Sometimes losing like that inspires you.
That was the one thing I felt. I think they were trying to keep like a leg on both sides.
Nope.
Like young players, older players, and it didn't quite have the mesh.
It very, very rarely works, and sometimes you get bit by it. They couldn't score. That's their problem.
We're the Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment was brought to you by Sport Clips. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Our Unfinished Business segment brought to you by the Genesee Brew House, your beer destination since 2012. Visit the gift shop, enjoy tasting at our pilot brewery, dine at the pub-style restaurant. The Genesee Brew House, Unfinished Business, Pat.
I want to yell some more about what's going on in college football. And a little while ago, Bill said he was surprised I was changing, becoming more of a traditionalist. He's wrong, and here's why. The only reason why college football is allowed to do what they're doing unimpeded is because there's no competition for young players to feed into the NFL. It's the reason why NCAA hockey isn't big time. It's the reason why NCAA basketball is becoming a little rocky with the G League showing up and the Ignite team that the NBA has put together in their minor league system. Here's what I'm imploring. We need someone with money, and this would work, to start a league for 18 to 23-year-old kids, the best in the country. Start with 4 teams, start with 6 teams, and offer to pay legitimate salaries. We talked earlier about how the NCAA football model is becoming more NFL, and that's by design. Yet, these kids are not going to make NFL salaries. In fact, 90% of them are never going to make money, more than that, playing professional sports in their lives. They're going to sacrifice their body for an education that may not even benefit them if they finish it to line the pockets of people who run universities. I'm begging, and I don't know anybody with money, and nobody with money may ever see this, but if you're able to get this league off the ground, and you take these best high school football athletes from California, from Texas, from Florida, and put them in this league on national television, people are going to watch. It's going to seriously hurt the bottom line of NCAA football, and that is when they have to start changing the way that they do business.
So I watched Hard Knocks with the Jets, and I couldn't wait. I actually put it on my calendar to watch and then see exactly how the Jets were going to portray their team, find that one player on the team. You know full well at Hard Knocks how it works. So a guy that's on the edge, could make the team, not make the team. And what I ran into with this football show was just that, a show. It wasn't really even about football. Half of it was just repairing the image of Aaron Rodgers, who I kind of like, but I get now what Duffy's talking about. He has a tone of a voice that you're not quite sure exactly if he's being sarcastic and genuine. I saw more genuine than sarcasm, so I understand him more. He just needs to control the way he speaks to people when he's on camera. And that being said, I sat there looking for the story that's going to give me the reason to watch next week. And I just couldn't find it. I found our head coach, Robert Saleh, who was having fun, everybody marveling at Rodgers. We all knew Rodgers was a Pro Bowl quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback. We didn't need Hard Knocks to tell us that. We needed to know exactly how committed this team was to winning. And all they were really was just getting to know each other and fooling around and having fun, and how much of a relationship Rodgers has with Hackett and all this other stuff. So please give me more in episodes 2, 3, or I won't watch 4. Really, honestly, this is just a show, not a football show. Get to the football where we care about a guy who's literally on the edge or a rookie coming in playing. I know about Sauce Gardner. I know about Zach Wilson. I don't care. Give me something that is football related. You got to do better than that with Hard Knocks, or literally, I'm not watching.
I'm not a hardcore soccer fan. I know this because I've never suggested that someone didn't understand the game, or argue that soccer doesn't need more scoring, because it does. It's obvious. I must not understand the game. Still, I faithfully got up at 3 a.m. to watch the United States women's national team take on Portugal, and again last Tuesday at 5 a.m. when it played Sweden. Those are the last 2 games of the team's unsuccessful defense of the Women's World Cup. For a game without goals, the Sweden contest was pretty compelling. dominated by the U.S. only to lose in penalty kicks, a cruel form of execution. Megan Rapinoe missed one of those kicks, also a cruel end to a brilliant career. It's easy to forget that Rapinoe was once the best player on 2 World Cup championship teams, and that she set the ball to Abby Wambach in one of her most iconic moments, with a World Cup goal scored 12 years ago now to beat Brazil. Rapinoe represented us well on the field of play. These days, that's not enough. I took no pleasure in Team USA's defeat. Others did. The women have become a lightning rod as social activists, especially Rapinoe, who was ridiculed for losing by those openly rooting against her. This is where we are these days, not even being able to agree on cheering for a team that represents our country. That alone seems worth taking a knee for. That's our Unfinished Business, brought to you by the Genesee Brewhouse, and that is our show. It occurs to me that you guys, Hard Knocks this week, quarterbacks the week before, you guys don't like the football show.
Well, Hard Knocks can get better, but is there anything we do agree on?
Oh, this show's great.
Thank you very much.
I do have a jersey just like that, but it's not Bat Boy.
Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box, and we'll see you again next week.
It says Spence. That's my name.
That's my name right there.
That's my name.